Hey, this is Livingston, another Bros on the Phone podcast. Going to talk about a few things. I got Taylor on the other line.
Hello, I'm here.
What's going on, man?
Just hanging in there. Been a little under the weather lately, but hopefully get that figured out here soon.
Yeah, it's going around.
So
I've been kind of isolating myself from the world just because I don't want to catch it. So just imagine me on top of a mountain in a little box, just not wanting to get sick.
Just hiding away from everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I got a beard down to my chest and everything.
Yeah, right.
But did you see the new Deadpool 2 poster that came out yesterday?
I did see the new poster. Yeah, that based off of like Flashdance, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny how they do some of that, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to the movie. I was looking forward to it anyways. So the poster doesn't really change that, but it's just one. They always have a really funny like viral content that they do.
Yeah, it's
especially
just,
Ryan
it's just
Reynolds
fun
on Twitter and such. He's
like
he's always pretty entertaining.
The first trailer that they had for the first Deadpool was him in front of a fireplace, sitting there with his almost like that Burt Reynolds old Playgirl picture that he had, where he was like sitting sideways or laying sideways on like a bear rug or something. I thought that was pretty great.
That was funny, and I think it was Ryan Reynolds that was tweeting as Deadpool during the Super Bowl, like narrating it or something, or doing some commentary on it, which is always kind of funny. Just like, it's more Deadpool content. It's always pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
Like he's an actual person with social media and, doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that first Deadpool, when they were doing the advertising and whatnot for it, I mean, he was behind it for 100%, probably like for the first year before it even came out. It was just, everything that came out was gold for that Deadpool movie. Well,
yeah, you can tell that he's in it for the long haul. It's not just a movie to him. It's he's going to live the character on social media and stuff, which I think is great. You don't see that a lot.
No, hardly ever.
So that's pretty fun. There's a couple other things that I saw yesterday when I wasn't sleeping because I was sick. I checked a lot of stuff last night, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's, I guess, doing a Western series on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's called Outrider.
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't know if I would say that's a surprise, but I think it's kind of cool.
Well, he does like cowboy boots. I know that.
Yeah, I mean it is something that I'll totally watch. I have Amazon Prime, so why not?
Oh yeah. Did you read the synopsis for it?
I did, but I don't have it in front of me.
It was it will follow a deputy of Oklahoma Indian Territory in the late 1800s, and the deputy is tasked by a notorious judge with apprehending a legendary outlaw in the wilderness, which it kind of reminds me of True Grit in a way in that respect.
Yeah.
And I guess the deputy is forced to partner with a ruthless federal marshal, who is played by Schwarzenegger, or will be, to make sure justice is properly served. So
does it say? I probably won't, but does it say how long it's going to be? How many episodes? Or if it's
the only thing it says it says that it's a special event series.
Okay, so maybe it is like an 8-10 episode thing, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be like an ongoing thing, but
or even like was it Hatfield McCoy that was like 6 episodes or something?
Yeah,
like
that was like
3. What am I thinking of?
It might. I'm not sure. I did watch it. I think it might have been. It was 3 nights, and it might have been like 2 hours per night.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But that's been a while.
That sounds pretty interesting. I mean, I do like some of the Amazon shows.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Schwarzenegger does with this.
Yeah.
It's just hard to see him as a cowboy.
Right, with his accent. I mean, I guess.
But I mean, they have that in there as well, where he's from like a European country, and he immigrated over here. I mean, they say that as well. But so that and he has become a better actor since he started back in like 2011 or something like that.
Well, yeah, if you watch like
Maggie,
I think Maggie, he was actually really good in that. That was a drama basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's actually probably, I don't know, it felt like almost like The Last of Us, if you remember that video game.
Yeah.
It's almost similar to that story in a way. Pretty dark, really.
I also seen that they were wanting to do a Star Wars series from the Game of Thrones showrunners producing.
Yeah, and I guess this is something they had pitched a while ago or something like that, but it's been in the works, and I'm curious. Again, this is separate from Rian Johnson's new trilogy. This is separate from Episode 9 and the Skywalker saga. So, I mean, I'm totally down for it. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it sounds like we're getting a lot of more Star Wars, and I hope it's something different. I mean, obviously Game of Thrones is great. I'm way behind on that, so no spoilers for that.
Yeah.
But if you bring it in with with that kind of attitude, I guess it has that sort of feel or
Dark,
something.
gritty,
Yeah, you could do a lot with it.
Curious if they would even go like the rated R route. I doubt it. They probably want like a mass audience kind of thing, but like PG-13. But it would be neat if they actually did some Star Wars films that were kind of gritty, and it didn't. Not every Star Wars film has to be a big hit. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It could be like an indie kind of feel.
I mean, if you did a Star Wars movie that felt like Logan or something like that, where it's still in that same universe, but it's just much darker, much different.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally watch something like that. It's Star Wars. It's not like the stuff. It would be, if you're gonna make it rated R, it'd be for violence more than anything. You don't have to have
cussing, or anything
cussing
like
at all, because it's Star Wars. They don't do that.
Yeah.
Even like it would probably be violence, I guess. I mean, if it's Game of Thrones, they're going to have a bunch of nudity. I don't think they'd allow that, really, for Star Wars.
No. I mean, it's Disney, too, so, they have a...
And I think they can push the violence pretty far in PG-13 now. I mean, even if you watch Revenge of the Sith, like, he gets his limbs cut off and then he starts on fire. It's pretty gruesome, really.
Oh, yeah. It's the same with The Last Jedi.
PG-13.
There was that scene in the throne room where they cut a guy and they cut, what's his name, in half? Snoke.
Snoke in half, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like...
I'm fine with even that level of violence if they're going to keep it PG-13. You don't need to have like blood splattering everywhere and ridiculous stuff like that.
And I'm very curious it's not supposed to be part of the actual story that's going on right now. That's two different Star Wars properties that have that. With Rian Johnson's trilogy and now this. Yeah, I'm very curious what this is going to be about for sure.
Yeah, and continuing on Star Wars, it was also announced, or it's going to be announced, that Disney's going to announce a new Star Wars, I guess it'd be a streaming series on their new streaming platform, whenever that's going to be, which may or may not just be on Hulu. But it sounds like, from what I hear, they have several different shows that are in the works for streaming services. And I mean, George Lucas, right after Revenge of the Sith, he did announce that he was doing like his own TV series, but it wasn't, the technology wasn't there yet to do it cheap enough. But he said he had like 100 scripts written, and it was going to take place between episode 3 and 4, and be more on like, the underground type of thing, maybe the Boba Fett's characters, the gangsters, that type of stuff. That's probably totally gone now, but I wouldn't be upset if they took some of those ideas and incorporated into it. I hope it's live action. I mean, I do enjoy some of the animated shows. They're entertaining, but like I really would like to see, a live action Star Wars show if it's done right. It doesn't have to be on the major characters. It can be, I would still like to see the show set between episode 3 and 4, kind of based off characters that, aren't necessarily in the movies, but they might be connected somehow, or even not really. Maybe just have like the Empire looming over it, and it's just some other part of the galaxy.
It's like the background of what's going on.
Yeah.
I would be interested to see a show for sure. I mean, I'm depending on what they come up with, but when it comes between episodes 3 and 4, I've seen so many stories. They got Solo coming out, and that's got to probably take place between 3 and 4, maybe like the early days before, like right after 3 happened.
Yeah.
But then you got Rebels, and then you got the Clone Wars, and I guess there's possibility of an Obi-Wan film. So there's a lot of story going on between 3 and 4. I would like to see stories between like maybe 6 and 7 that I have. You don't really have much there.
Yeah.
So if they did make a show, I think I'd be more curious to see what's going on after Return of the Jedi, and
that would be definitely
how the First Order came about, and of course, if you haven't played the video game Battlefront 2, they kind of do go through how certain things happened and how the First Order came to be, but the mass audience in general doesn't really know. So it'd be neat if they actually had a show that kind of discussed that.
Well, since we already discussed it a little bit, we're going to talk about some of the movie trailers not just movie trailers, but some of the trailers that were shown during the Super Bowl. And the first one we can talk about is Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yep.
What did you think?
Well, that first 30 seconds, it was they didn't give you a whole lot, that's for sure. There was a lot of neat footage, but they didn't really show Solo, which kind of, are they trying to hide him, or was it just a effect in the trailer? Of course, they show him more so in the trailer on I think, would it come out after the Super Bowl or the day after? I watched it regardless, but it was...
Yeah, it was the day after. Like, the Super Bowl commercial was really like 45 seconds, and it was more of a teaser for the trailer, which came out the next day, which was weird, I thought, but, you know, I don't know why they wouldn't just put the whole 2 minutes or whatever during the Super Bowl.
I mean, the movie itself, switching of the directors and reshoots, and also the delay of the trailer release, you know, everyone is kind of wondering if it'll be something worth seeing.
Yeah.
And I don't think they haven't sold it to me yet. It's not really.
No, I'm not sold yet. I mean, watching the trailer, it just felt like it was. I mean, you have something like Guardians of the Galaxy, which clearly, you know, takes some inspiration from Star Wars, like any science fiction movie does. But this feels like it was almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff rather than a Han Solo movie. Like, it's Han Solo. He's the original. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's doing him as much. He didn't look like Han Solo to me.
No, and it's going to be really hard to see anybody else as Solo because it's not Harrison Ford.
And I think that's part of the problem is that does anyone really want to see someone besides Harrison Ford play Han Solo? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Not really. So
far, my opinion on it is I don't think we really needed a Solo movie.
No, we didn't. It was very a generic trailer.
Yeah.
Like, there wasn't anything that really stuck out. There's a couple cool stuff like the lightning storm around the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, that was neat.
You know, and I guess there's a new kind of TIE fighter that they have. Another new kind of TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Just so they can sell more
that we never did see in the original trilogy.
Right.
So
I mean, we'll see. I'm still like, nothing about it looks like terrible, but nothing about it looked really like Star Wars awesome. I wasn't, you know, when I watched the trailer for like The Last Jedi or even like Rogue One, it's like, wow, like that looked awesome. So I mean, like, all right, well,
that was one of the things that made Solo so appealing was the fact that we don't know much about his past. He's a mysterious character, really.
You're right.
And now all of a sudden we're going to know his backstory. I mean, which is great and everything, but at the same time, it's like, did we really need that? You know, that backstory. But
yeah.
But it has a great cast. You can't really go wrong with
it. Does, yeah.
You know, what's her name? I can't remember her name.
Amelia something, right?
Amelia Clark,
yeah, from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And actually, I really liked how Donald Glover looked as Lando in some of the outfits.
And I watched it again. When I first watched it, I wasn't really sold, but then I watched it again, and I'm like, yeah, he does have that snarky look, even though he didn't even say a word.
I would almost rather see a Donald Glover Lando movie than a Han Solo movie, just because it's like, if you do, here's what I would like. Well, now we're going off on a little tangent, but that's all right. It's our podcast. I would do a movie where, you know, you have Billy D. Williams. They're getting mixed up. You get Billy D. Williams back as Lando, and he's like telling a story to someone, and then you have it told through flashbacks with Donald Glover. There you go. There's your Lando movie. He's doing the old sitting by the fireplace type of thing. He's like, back in my day, and he tells a story, you know.
Yeah, that would be fun. I think it would have been more interesting to do a Lando movie over a Solo movie because you know more about Solo than you do about Lando. Lando didn't show up until Empire Strikes Back, and you only see him on a mission in Return of the Jedi, so you really don't know hardly anything about him either.
Right. That's the Lando movie that I would see. So that way you still have Billy D. Williams, but for the action stuff, you'll have someone obviously like Donald Glover who's younger, who can run around, and you know, that would be. I think that'd be a fun story. I mean, it'd be funny if the Solo movie was that where Billy D. Williams talking about, well, when I met Solo, you know, whatever. And
yeah. It'd be like young Indiana Jones, but it'd be his Star Wars version of it.
Yeah.
You ever see that, the young Indiana Jones?
I've seen some of it, not all of it though.
I mean, they had an old man, like 90-something years old, wearing a fedora and an eye patch, and he's always randomly talking like to people on the street or in a museum or whatever, and he's just an old man, and he's like, I remember the time when I stole this in, you know, Bangladesh or something, and the kids are like, okay, old man. You know, like, it would have been great if they did that with Lando, but.
Oh well.
Yeah,
but we got a lot of other trailers to talk about. So the next one on our list was Skyscraper.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I'll watch anything with The Rock, and it looked like a Rock movie.
Pretty much.
I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it's one of those movies that if it was anyone else, you'd be like, that was cheesy. But it's The Rock, so it's probably still going to get 60-70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it'll still make $200 million. So
yeah,
you know.
Well, he did have that. Baywatch, which didn't do well with critics, and it really didn't do well with the
that's true,
audience as well. So he does overall, he's got a great resume of films, but
His action movies always seem to do pretty well.
yeah, I mean, he's got Rampage coming out April, which is basically like the first movie to kind of kick off the. I think April's now like the month that kicks off the summer, because this always seems like they always have like a film right before May, because they want to get in a movie before like a Marvel film kind of controls and dominates everything. But and he also has a prosthetic limb in this trailer.
That's right, yeah.
Which is interesting, I think. Different. But yeah, I mean, it looks like something that would be fun to watch in July.
Yeah.
The other thing they had was Jack Ryan starring John Krasinski, another Amazon show. And it looks great. Looks like something like a modern day Jack Ryan, but at the same time, I read the Jack Ryan book series, and I also read watched the films with Alec Baldwin and Ben Affleck and Harrison Ford. But to me, this just doesn't look like a Jack Ryan story, because Jack Ryan's supposed to be like an analyst.
All right, you don't have to make everything really dark and gritty.
Yeah, and this is all like dark and gritty, and he knows. It's like he's with SEAL Team 6, and he knows how to do combat and shoot guns and everything. Not like the other Jack Ryan did as well when it came to guns, but he was almost a guy that was always stuck in a situation, just a regular guy, and he's like, I shouldn't be here. I'm just a regular Joe that should be in an office somewhere. And that's what made Jack Ryan appealing to me. But this one, I'm not sold because it's not Jack Ryan to me.
Well, we have another Mission Impossible movie, Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think the movie series have gotten better.
Oh, they have.
I think 4, 5, and now this will be number 6. I mean, 4 and 5 I think are the best ones, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I liked them all. Of course, part 1 was first, and that was, I can't remember who directed that.
It was, I can't remember either.
It came out in 96. It wasn't as action-packed. It was more like a suspense thriller than it was action.
Yeah.
And then, of course, part 2 with John Woo. That was very stylized, and you have the doves flying and all that stuff.
Right, yeah, that was very much a John Woo film, yeah.
But and then part 3, J.J. Abrams, I liked them all, but they do gradually get better and better. But Brian De Palma did the first Mission Impossible.
Did he really? Okay, yeah.
And that kind of explains why it was the way it was, because it's Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
He just kind of slow, but it was still great. Yeah, but did you watch the actual trailer, though? Not the Super Bowl ad, but the trailer?
I think so. Yeah, I think I watched the full trailer.
Yeah, there's like because they released that, and then right after Super Bowl, they released the full theatrical trailer. Of course, it's got stunts that you're like, okay, Tom Cruise did that. I'm sure he had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
Jumping.
Yeah, he does his own stunts.
Yeah, we get it. He wants to top himself about every time.
Which one? What was it he did in this one? Something with the helicopter, right?
There's a helicopter, and there's a few of them. Like there's one where he's hanging from a rope off of a helicopter, and then he drops down. And then there's another one where he drops between two buildings, and he also broke his foot during
production.
Film. Yeah. And I think they even used that footage where he broke his foot. It looked like.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it looked like the same exact thing that I saw in that Twitter video that they posted. But yeah, it looks like another great film, and they almost kind of in the trailer itself, they kind of make it seem like it might be the last Mission Impossible. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if they made more.
Yeah,
but I guess we'll see. We got a couple more movies to talk about real quick. Jurassic World, the new trailer for that premiered, and I still can't quite tell what the movie's about, which I think is good. Like they kind of still make it a little more mysterious, show a lot of action shots, and there's a couple things. Obviously, they have to get off the island somehow, but then I feel like there's a lot they're not showing us, which I'm totally okay with. I want to be surprised when I see it.
Yeah, because that's like the big thing about movies these days. They kind of give you the entire story in 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, depending on how long the trailer is. And it's like, come on, guys, just give us snippets of it. But this seems a lot darker than that first Jurassic World movie.
Yeah.
Which I like. It's almost kind of like a callback to the first Jurassic Park, where it was dark and more about just scaring people than it was like than it was like seeing the majestic nature of the dinosaurs itself, But
right.
I mean, it was kind of a call. You ever played that game? It was a video game that came out like back in '99 called Dino Crisis.
No, I think maybe once, a long time ago.
I played it when it came out, and for some reason, Dino Crisis popped into my head, which is almost like Jurassic Park in a way, where like dinosaurs get out and they're trying to kill the people and whatnot. But it seems like we're back to that where the franchise actually began, which was dinosaurs getting out and eating people. So,
that's what people want to see.
Yep. But and of course the government screwed up and made some other bad creature, which they had to learn their lesson.
Clearly, they've been doing something, and they made their own kind of dinosaur or something.
Yeah,
that's kind of what was hinted at in this trailer.
Then, of course, they had the Avengers: Infinity War. We all saw that coming, and we knew they were going to have a 30-second spot, and it looks great. There's not much I can say.
That's going to be the biggest movie of the year,
probably,
box office.
There's no denying that, unless something else just comes out of nowhere, but I doubt it. But it looks good. I mean, I can't really. I don't know. There's not much I can say about this trailer because it's not something that I haven't seen already.
I mean, Marvel's got the formula down, like basically perfected. And I think Age of Ultron was okay. It wasn't great, but I think this one's gonna be way better than that. I mean, this will probably be a 95% Rotten Tomato kind of thing. It's gonna make a 1 point. What did the first Avengers make? 1.5 billion.
1.5, yeah, and then the second.
It's gonna. I'll bet it makes more than that. I'll bet it does 1.5, 1.6, at least around the same.
Yeah.
And it'll be the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll make $200+ million the first weekend. I mean, for
our contest that we'll keep mentioning as we continue with this podcast. But yeah.
Yeah, there was if you haven't listened to the episode already, there's one called Movie Draft 2018, and we kind of go through and pick out what movies we think are going to have the biggest opening weekend of the year. And Avengers, of course, is on the top of Taylor's list. Mine is actually Jurassic World. That's my number one for my list because he got Avengers before I did. But whatever.
Yeah, in terms of like opening weekend.
Yeah,
I think Jurassic World will do pretty well as well. Also.
Oh yeah, and Black Panther is doing great. Ticket sales, like pre
yeah, that one's going to be over 100 million, they say.
And that's my list.
Yeah. So one more movie we're going to talk about real quick before we talk about the commercials, and that's A Quiet Place with John Krasinski. When I watched the trailer. It's kind of like the first movie, because everyone's totally quiet. I'm feel like I'm holding my breath while I'm watching this trailer. Like, what's going on? I mean, that was a really well done trailer, as opposed to something like Solo, which seemed like a generic trailer. Like this was really different, and it really pulls you in pretty quickly. Like, all right, I got to be totally quiet.
Did you watch the spot or did you watch the trailer?
I watched the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. What did they play on the Super Bowl? Was it just a shorter spot?
It was short. It was like 30 seconds, and they were just kind of.
I watched that too, but I actually watched the whole trailer as well.
It's a well done trailer. I mean,
it's a well done trailer. That is something that I definitely am probably. I'm going to consider seeing definitely just with the trailer. And
it was a surprise too because I didn't even know they were making a movie like this with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, which they're married in real life. But I mean, watching it. I'm like, this is new. It was something, and they're doing sign language, and you're kind of wondering what the creatures are. You know, they got like maybe 3 claws because there's claws going up the wall,
and they're big because it was pretty deep cuts. Yeah,
and they don't like sound.
Yeah, so. They'll find you that way. That's honestly pretty terrifying. But also, when I was watching, it's like, well, what if the wind blows and like knocks a tree down or something? Are they going to run over to that too? Like, how do they know that it's a human making the sound?
And it's smart in the trailer itself when they're playing a board game and they have like soft stuff to, so it doesn't make a noise while they're putting it down. Plus, while they're doing sign language, it makes you think. I guess they won't have any dialogue hardly in this movie. It's all just action and.
I hope they have subtitles for the sign language in the trailer.
Either that, or you can kind of guess what it's about while they're doing it, or whatever. Yeah. Who knows? It'd be interesting.
It's a pretty artsy looking thriller, but I'm pretty interested so far.
But now let's discuss our top 5 biggest things, biggest commercials. I can't even talk. Biggest things in there, biggest commercials or best, our favorites, anyways.
I liked a lot of the Super Bowl commercials, and our lists are going to be, I think, pretty different.
Yeah.
But that's all right. And we'll start with number 5. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
My number 5 commercial, and if you haven't seen all these commercials, I'm sure there's some website or something you can go to just watch them all. If you didn't watch the Super Bowl, then I don't know, that's weird to me. But my number 5 was the Eli Manning and Odell Beckham doing the Dirty Dancing routine.
Okay, that's my number 4, actually.
That's your number 4? Okay. I thought it was funny. I mean, it's something you didn't expect from Eli Manning. And again, this is a commercial that you kind of have to know who these people are as well, to kind of appreciate it, because they're football players. But it's pretty funny. It's not something you'd expect to see from them. So I always like it when like people like that will put themselves out there and make themselves look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because too many people take themselves too seriously. So I thought that was pretty good. So what's your number 5?
My number 5 is I didn't really like this commercial until the very end, which was the Sprint AI commercial.
Okay.
Where the guy's basically talking to a psychiatrist about like his coworkers who happen to be all AI. And he's talking about his phone, but at the very end, there's this little robot that stands like 2 foot tall, and he looks up at the guy and he says, "You have an ugly face," and it just made me laugh out loud. Like, it's so stupid, but at the same time, I just laughed.
That's how a lot of them are. Like, it's just so ridiculous, but yeah, it does make me laugh. So that one's not on my list. My number 4 is, and the rest of these, it was hard to kind of put in the right order. I'm still looking at it thinking, like, should I switch these around? But I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah.
My number 4 was a Jeep commercial with Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
I don't know, like, I mean, definitely for the nostalgia factor, but, like, again, like, him putting himself out there and just doing a Jeep commercial, I thought that was pretty clever.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it works. It was definitely a entertaining trailer, or entertaining commercial. I thought it was a trailer at first.
Yeah.
For Jurassic World, like, they were going to do some, short thing and do a throwback to the original, but yeah, that was my number 4. That one was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed that one. What's your my number 4 actually is the same thing I just mentioned, NFL Dirty Dancing commercial.
Yeah.
And of course, I liked it for the obvious reasons that you said, but what's your number 3?
My number 3 is and when I saw this commercial, it kind of pissed me off at first. But then I thought about it, and it's pretty funny how they did it. The Dodge Ram Vikings commercial.
Okay, yeah.
And I actually had to look it up. That version of "We Will Rock You" was the live version from like 1977.
Really?
That version is way better, I think, than the one they play on the radio.
Yeah, it was a good version. I thought it was like a remake or something.
No, it was actually a live version. Like, and I thought that's what I thought too. I thought they remixed the song or something. No, it actually is a rock song. Like, "We Will Rock You" is just drums and vocals, and it's good. But like, I really like that one, and it was different. But that's basically being a Vikings fan. That's basically how I felt. Just like, yeah, we're going to do this, and then it just totally falls apart, and they just because I was if the Vikings had won and we're in the Super Bowl, I'm not going to go to the Super Bowl, but I would have went up there to be there.
Yeah.
So that's basically how I felt this season, to stop. Oh, that's not it. Turn around. Let's get out of here. And so at the one time I was like, they're really making fun of me, but like in another way is like, I can really relate to that. So,
yeah.
And it was actually a really well done commercial, just how tough they look all of a sudden. And they're all in the back of the bed of the truck. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. It would have been interesting to see the Vikings in that for sure. But I'm sure.
I also wonder when they made that commercial.
Was it like it was probably before they knew the Vikings lost,
right?
But it still works.
It still works, but like I don't know, like it wouldn't have worked for other teams really. You couldn't do something like that with the Eagles or the Jaguars had they,
It could have been. I mean, the commercial could have been something completely different where they got there and they were going to do something else, but when they lost, they're like, we got to shoot another scene and make it a commercial that's going to work.
They probably shot it, a couple different ways or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's my number 3.
Well, my number 3, which I didn't find funny or anything like that, I found it unique and different just because I was kind of flabbergasted by it. The Dundee commercial, the trailer, which ended up being a commercial for Australia, and it had everybody talking before it even aired. Because they did show like a teaser trailer and an actual trailer, and then they were going to show another trailer during the commercial, during the Super Bowl. And it's like, so it didn't exist, and I was kind of like up in the air about it anyways, because Danny McBride just doesn't seem like a Dundee type.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, okay, it's just a commercial for Australia. I guess I could take a breath and not have to worry that Danny McBride's going to be taking over the Dundee, franchise.
Yeah. No, that was one that would probably be my number 6. Really, that was pretty good how they did that because they really they really tricked everybody for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's been a long time since
I remember
I've
a lot
been
of people were
tricked.
like, are they really doing this to Crocodile Dundee? Like, this looks, why are they making it like a spoof now and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And they they made the trailer look like a movie.
Oh yeah, and they got every big Australian in there too. You got Hugh Jackman, you got the Hemsworth brothers, you got Russell Crowe and Margot Robbie. It's like, man, they're really going. It's going to be an Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah, like a lot of cameos. That was pretty good. Yeah. My number 2 was Doritos Blaze versus Mountain Dew Ice.
Yeah, that was my actually like number 6. I was thinking about putting that on the list, but it didn't make it.
I don't know. It was just funny, and one of those things where it's like these, you wouldn't expect them to do something like that, especially Morgan Freeman. Mm-hmm. Like putting themselves out there and doing something totally different is always pretty funny to me, and that was a pretty entertaining commercial. I don't know what else to say about it. But
it was fun.
I really enjoyed that.
Just
it was funny.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones that made me kind of laugh. Yeah.
My number 2, you already mentioned it, was the Jeep Jurassic Park commercial with Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
It's mostly just because it was a callback to one of my favorite films, Jurassic Park, and Jeff Goldblum is there and playing the same character.
Jeff Goldblum is Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of playing the same character from like how he was in the first one, which he was completely different in the second one. Wasn't even the same character. Didn't even have the same backstory either.
Yeah.
But so it was just a fun commercial. So what was your number 1?
I think our number 1's probably going to be the same. It was the Tide commercials.
Yeah, that's my number 1 too.
Because after they did that first one, every single commercial after that, I was like, "Is this a Tide commercial?" Like I could not stop thinking about it.
Yeah, it's great. It was great for the admin who came up with this. I'm sitting there thinking,
they're like and at the end they're like, "Yeah, is every commercial a Tide commercial?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Shoot, everything is."
But it showed up at like some points that you never thought it would show up. Like you had Mr. Clean, and all of a sudden he pops up, and then you got
stop. It's a Tide commercial.
Yeah. Then there's Old Spice, and you're thinking like that guy's back doing Old Spice. Nope, Tide commercial. They even did it with the Super Bowl. I was even thinking like the commentators were talking, and then you're thinking like, oh, they're talking. We're back to the game, and then all of a sudden you see, I forget his name, the actor. He's in Stranger Things.
Yeah, I forget his name too.
But he turns around and he's playing Brady and the quarterback for the Eagles, and he's just like, oh, it's a Tide commercial. He's like, oh my God, you got me again, you bastard.
Yeah.
That was a great commercial.
So let us know what some of your favorite commercials are. I think most people will probably Tide's got to be up there on everyone's list, at least in the top couple.
Yeah.
I think they really did pretty well. But let us know in the comment section below what you think.
That's David Harbour. That's who played him.
David Harbour, yeah, he's going to be Hellboy, the next Hellboy.
And he plays Chief Hopper from Stranger Things.
Yep. So we're going to have a lot more interviews and podcasts coming up soon. Don't want to announce anything quite yet. Make sure everything's scheduled up before we do that. But and make sure to give us a rating on iTunes. That always helps out. And let your friends know about our awesome podcast so they can hear about, all the movies we talk about and all the interviews we're going to have. So I guess that's about it for now.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, man. I guess I'll talk to you later.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. See ya.